good evening, and welcome to this Wednesday, February 24th edition of the Island Stats Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me is co-host Jason Juggling J. Ford. Jay, we have a action-packed evening planned. We will be joined in a few minutes by Madeline Moore. Junior Moore counted for 3 gold medals during the WAC swimming championships over the weekend. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll be joined by the Bermuda Boxing Association President Nathan Dill, who will give us a few updates, and one in particular is the America's Olympic Qualifier, which is scheduled to take place in Argentina May 10th through 16th. So we want to give everyone an update on that event and what our boxers are doing to prepare if this is actually going to come off. But you know, we're still having so many restrictions. We're not into any contact sports as of yet. You know, we're the goalposts keep moving. But Jay, plans are still going for this. Well,
April 24th.
Yeah. And in the press conference that they talked about this event, they were indicating that the sailors will start arriving a month and a bit before the event, so they're going to be located in Bermuda. But, you know, we're still challenged with our own athletes, local athletes, being allowed to get back into sports. But we're opening our doors and our shores to yet another international event with the locals still hands tied. And, you know, one of those things, touch and go. It's, you know, it's a very interesting conversation that needs to be had.
Hold on. You said touch and go. And you said something earlier, goalpost moving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I hate to say this, it feels like it's only moving for the local sports.
Oh, it is.
Because something of this magnitude can't afford to have the goalposts keep moving.
But
they have to be fixed. With this amount of money being spent, they have to be fixed of some sort, unless it's a drastic catastrophe or something of the not. But for the most part, there are goalposts that are in place, and they were remaining in place until we'll see them.
Right. I'm just wondering if all the stuff that's coming out from the government through press conferences about what happens if something happens in sport in Bermuda, will we get that same information, and will they be treated the same? Because I know there are some issues when they were discussing the Bermuda Aruba match. Initially, they were talking about if one person tests positive, game done. They were saying the same thing for Carifta. Somebody tested positive, it's over. So will the same rules apply to this event? There's not going to be many. I mean, there's not going to be many Bermudians involved.
No.
You know, as much as they'll claim that it gives people a temp for jobs and so forth. Yeah, most of the structures will have to be erected. That will be something. But when it comes to the staging of the event, it's basically going to be overseas people with a few people from Bermuda lending assistance.
I'll also talk about another elephant in the room when it comes to local sports, and we have seen not just local sports but society. We've been on curfew, and also not on some being able to play certain sports, not just the sport itself, but the socializing around the sport. Celebration, liquor,
Yeah.
put it. And we've heard that to be an issue with certain things of groups, why we're not on curfew, why we're this, basically having to do with people feeling they're going to go in and party or this, that, and the other.
Right.
Okay, Earl, you know this, and I know this. We've been to the rugbies, we've been to the sailings. It's a lot of liquor flowing.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of hugging. There's
Yes.
a lot of congratulations.
Yes.
I'm just hoping, like you said, same applies that we've been going through in the last umpteen months. The same rules and protocols are adhered to for this event. Now, let's get something straight. We want this event to happen.
Definitely. Definitely.
And no mistake, we want this to happen. But locally, if we've had to sacrifice, and just hearing over the past few days where the harness racing has had to call off their season, the rest of their season.
Right. But they haven't said it to all the media officials. So
right. Like I said, I mean, some are probably still just sports in general. Football still understand still, and I'm not sure if I've listened to your program the other night. There's still no date set in stone for when it's going to start.
Nope.
It meaning doesn't know when it's going to end, how many competitions going to be, if it's going to be league, if it's going to be cups. We still don't know. But this event is surely to go off.
Yes.
And things are really in place. So I'm just sort of skeptical how, it's, I don't know. It's just, it feels
my big concern is that the shackles will be taken off so this event can come off in the way they want it to come off, and then shackles will be put back on, creating a major problem.
Wow.
Because we saw the relaxation somewhat for the 3 events we had in October.
Well, I will say this, Earl. I'm going to tell you, I don't think it will go over that well when it comes to our major summer events.
Yes.
In particular, surrounding cricket. So where they're finding a will, they're finding a way for this. I will hope that would be, the same. That's all I'm at. But they're finding a will, they're finding a way.
Yes.
For all the, I hate to say this here, it feels like it's okay. Once they leave, the boogeyman is back. Feels that way. I'm not saying I'm not going against science or whatever. I'm just saying it feels that way because once again, it's a feel good story, and then back to It's gonna be quite interesting.
Yeah, being that we were talking about that, the Ministry of Health released just a few hours ago 417 tests since the last update. None were positive for COVID-19. So we still stand at the number we were at yesterday. And
those nine, I may be stand corrected, but those 9 basically have been imports of
pretty much, yes,
in over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So it'll be interesting if they're under public monitoring. Once again, the folks that are flying in, how long are they on quarantine?
Right.
And because we're still seeing positive cases at the end of day 4 and day 8.
Right. Well, one since has recovered, 8 are under public health monitoring, and 1 is in the hospital. So
I think one of the 9, I believe, I could be corrected, tested positive on day 14.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
so,
as we sit and wait like everyone else, twiddling our thumbs for competitive sports to begin. I know somebody that was already in competitive sport and done rather well, and she's joining us now, and that's Madeline Moore. Hi, Maddie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Earl?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Um, I watched with so much delight this past weekend your performances. Um, just, I mean, to watch it and to be, not there, but feel like I'm there. It was remarkable. But for you, what was the overall weekend like at the WAC Swimming Championships?
It was honestly amazing. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I knew it was going to be different from like my past 2 years just because like there were going to be no spectators and it was just going to be like coaches and like all the swimmers. So I was thinking that it was going to be, a bit quieter than my past 2 years, but honestly, when that first relay went and got up on the blocks, I couldn't hear a thing. Like I started off with the backstroke, and you couldn't even hear the starter whistling anything. So the environment was amazing. All the teams who were did super well. I think we did a lot better than we expected to do, especially having a rough start to the beginning of the our first semester. But the atmosphere was absolutely incredible.
Well, 3 gold medals, and the last one obviously capped a big weekend off. Jay, I don't know if you had the opportunity to see it, but
I watched it today.
she entered the water third and pulled off an amazing performance. Medi, during that relay, because I'm going to get to the other two, the 50 and the 100 free, but get that relay. When did you have them in your sights? Because although from the camera angle, you probably saw body lengths, but when did you really feel like, hey, I'm gaining ground, I'm making up this, and I could actually take them both to actually touch the wall first?
So I mean, obviously, when I was up on the blocks, I could see kind of everyone's distancing from when like they were jumping in to when I was going to be jumping in. And I think something that I'm really proud of that I've been working on a lot is like the back half of my races, which historically have usually been pretty bad.
Right.
So I knew, especially because I'm the girl that I was racing in GCU next to me. She was also in the 100 free individual.
Right.
So I knew that I had a stronger back half than she did. And on the third 25, when I was breathing, I could see my coaches losing their minds on the sidelines. And so thought that was a bit funny. But on the last turn, I was just like, you know what, this is the last event of the meet. Like, it hurt really bad, but I was like, this is it. After this, we're done. And we had a senior on the relay, so this was going to be her last event, like swimming ever. So I was like, if I'm not doing this, just for me, I'm doing this for her. And we cried a bit at the end because that was just the way that she wanted to go out swimming, and it was just incredible.
Jay?
Well, first of all, congratulations on not just your year, but your weekend, man. But talk about that college atmosphere, because we've been to professional games, professional meets, but that college atmosphere has got to be overwhelming at times.
Yeah, it definitely can be, but I think like the Carifta Games has set me up very well for college life. I think the atmosphere at Carifta will always be the loudest meet that I've ever been to in my life. But yeah, no, it was incredible. Honestly, you could probably see in some of the races. I know in the 200 medley relay, I was the first swimmer to like jump in, and everyone was kind of looking at me, but because you genuinely could not hear the starter blowing their whistle, so you were just kind of like, it was a guessing game, honestly, most of the time, because everyone was so loud.
So what about you guys going back on? Are you guys on campus at the moment?
Yeah, so I live in a house that's like 2 minutes away from campus.
So what about when you guys got back to campus, Monday or Tuesday? I mean, everybody's still got to be excited for the weekend.
Yeah, so we got back on Sunday. We left Utah Sunday morning, so we got back here like Sunday afternoon. So some people definitely partied that night, but I hopefully. So me and my coach Lisa Ebling, we are going to a meet in Georgia on Friday, actually, which is going to be a last chance meet for the NCAAs because currently I am 41st in the 50 free, and they took 37 to the NCAA last year. So fingers crossed, I will be in Georgia competing, trying to get that NCAA cut.
Now you hit those B times in the 50 and the 100.
Yes.
How far off are you from moving up to 37?
So it's very, very little. I mean, it goes, so right now I'm at a 22.53. There's probably a couple other 22.52s in front of me. It's literally hundredths of a second. But they're still, they have to put in the times from the, SEC conference, which is a very, very fast conference. And then Big Ten is currently happening. So I think my coach reckons I need to cut probably to a 22.3, which honestly I think is doable. My last 100 in that relay gave me a lot more confidence to go out faster, because to my feet I went a 22.8, and that was me like breathing every two and not doing like full 50 pace. So which is crazy because I usually die off at the end of the meet, but I ended up getting faster, which is awesome. It's something I've been working for years. So I have a lot of confidence going into this meet.
All right. We do have to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll have more with Maddie Moore.
The everyday use of spices goes back well over 6,000 years, evidenced by archaeological finds in Europe, including remains of spiced food. Since 1976, the Frontier Natural Foods Co-op has been bringing a wide range of exciting flavors to the table. The results are good news for the environment and more robust, fragrant essential oils in these natural seasonings. We're featuring Frontier Natural Products, organic ground cloves, rub sage leaf, and poultry seasoning. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Maddie, in an event like the WAC Championships, you're competing just about every day. There's a lot of emotion going into it. You have a lot to do calming yourself down as well as teammates. So as the meet gets going, as the meet gets longer, don't you kind of at times feel as if how do you feel, getting stronger or getting weaker as it goes on? Because you spend so much energy at the beginning, let alone at the end. Yeah.
I think this may have been one of my first meets where I, because there wasn't too much expectation coming into it, just because, everything's been so up in the air. I mean, we've been like working so hard and, keeping ourselves isolated and all of that good stuff. So I think it was just our coach giving us, our pep talks before the meet started. It was just like, we've done the work and we've done amazing this season. Just go out there and have fun. And that's, I think, one of the first times that I've, really taken that to heart and put my heart and soul. Like my voice is probably so hoarse because I was screaming so much and cheering for everyone, that I was putting my heart and soul into, my teammates' races and wanting everyone to do their absolute best and not just solely focusing on what I'm doing. So, I think it was just trying to get, the freshmen. I know they were a bit nervous, but I don't know, just having the whole team there was amazing, something that I didn't think was going to happen this year. So it was just a cherry on top going fast.
Okay.
Well, Earl and myself have been up to the National Sports Center during the winter when they see these guys train for swimming. What in the world made you think to go all the way out west in the WEC conference at this time of year to go jump in some water? I mean, you can just go to Florida. I mean, it's sunshine.
Well, the indoors.
You got to get there.
I ask myself that every day when I'm
Thank
like,
you.
it's snowing here now, actually, which is upsetting. But yeah, getting in the pool is one of the hardest things in swimming, I'm telling you.
And I say that because I know that some of these swimmers do some running, some obviously some physical training outside of the pool. But once again, it's what, 30 degrees, and we're gonna do a 5 mile run before we go in a pool afterwards. I mean, like,
Honestly, I'll tell you, when I'm walking to practice and we were in like the height of winter and there was like a ton of snow on the ground and we saw the like field athletes outside training, I was like, I'm so glad that I'm going to be inside in a pool and I'm not out there. So
well, after you guys' performance over the weekend, you've now moved up to 17th in the ranking, one of the highest that's been around for the school for quite some time.
yep.
And contributing to that, and like you said, you wasn't sure what the year was going to look like, but to start the season off, you guys done a few home meets, and you traveled a little bit. But like you said, what was that atmosphere like when you were competing at home? No spectators. I watched the first meet live, and they kept reminding everyone about the social distancing and the timekeepers and all of that in such a close environment. But what was that atmosphere like? The first event at your school?
So, well, we were the first sporting event that actually took place at UNC, which was a really big deal, honestly. But yeah, they just had expectations for us to, be wearing our masks behind the blocks, and like we had like command hooks that we would like hook our mask on, and then as soon as we got out, mask back on. And especially like after you've put your heart and soul into a race and you're breathing like really hard and you're like inhaling your mask, definitely got a bit hard. But we kind of just like, we have to do what we have to do if we want to compete this season, and we did it, honestly. So
no, that's capped off your year, but like you said, you gotta try and get to Georgia for this weekend to see. Now, you get there on Friday. When is the meet? Saturday?
Yeah, so we wanted to be leaving here on Thursday, but to be in regulations with their testing policies, we actually had to push it back until Friday. So I got tested yesterday, and then I'll be doing another test Friday morning before we leave, like an antigen test, which is just a rapid one. And then we'll be in Georgia. I think we're landing at like 3:30. And then it's like an hour and a half drive. And then we'll probably get to the pool and, try and stretch out as best as I can. And then I'll have, the next day is when I start competing, and I'll have the 50 on that day, which will be prelims finals. And then the next day will be the 100. But my coach said that even if like on Saturday, I'm not feeling like I have that like pop yet, we can always try and get the 50 time in the 100 instead. Right. So, I'll have a few chances.
Yeah. Well, I have the confidence in you. I know after this weekend, you'll have the confidence in yourself and the ability to do such things. But looking at the times as well, how does those times? Also, congratulations on your school records as well, because now your name's in the school for quite some time. It'll be a while before someone breaks that. Hopefully. Hopefully, but at least you're setting a mark at the school. Is that something when you picked that particular school you wanted to do, leave a mark?
Oh, most definitely. When one of the big things when I was talking to schools is I wanted a really strong team environment. Like I was like, I just want, everyone cheering for everyone, and everyone has everybody's best interests at heart. And then a few training goals that I had, and I wanted a coach that was kind of on the same page as that. But one of the things which is really special, Lisa's been growing this program for like 4 years now, and we have come so incredibly far, and which is just amazing to see, honestly. And next year we have some really amazing swimmers coming. So I think next year is going to be our year that we're winning the WAC conference, which will be historic because that has never been done by this university. And even being 17th in mid-major, we've never done that before. So I think definitely as a team, we've come so far. And I mean, I'm definitely planning to break those records a little more in the next 2 years. So
Okay. Any final questions, Jake?
Yeah, nah, I might have to be the Debbie Downer now, talking about next year. Especially in college sports, COVID has really hit these conferences, especially all the major conferences, knowing that football is one of the major money makers when it comes to TV deals. And without that TV money, a lot of the schools, especially other sports besides football, lose, obviously, funding. Any effect of the lack of money coming to the conference this year? Do you see it affecting the swimming program, especially for next year?
I mean, I hope not. I don't think it will. This year, because we usually have a training trip in California at around Christmas time. And then we usually have a meet, usually in Houston around November. And we didn't go to any of those this year, obviously because of COVID. So I know we saved a lot of money on that. And I know that money has gone towards like our like weekly testing and all that good stuff. But I hope it doesn't affect our budget. But again, swimming usually isn't the highest priority, but our athletic director, Darren Dunn, he's such a supporter of swimming, which it's rare to find that in a university. So we're just so grateful that what we have now. So hopefully they see the hard work that we put in this season and they don't try and take that away from us.
I mean, even though you're doing, you become successful in these individual events, but how important is the team?
Oh, so important. What our coach has been harping on us all year. Well, I mean, for the past 3 years that I've been here, is that team is like number one. Like, don't be putting yourself before your team. Like, once you finish your race, you go warm down, you come back, and you're cheering for your team. And I think that's so important. Like if you don't have your team, you don't really have anything. You can't win by yourself. So I don't know, and it just makes it easier having a team there. Because, well, I mean, when I'm back home and it's me and Jesse and we're traveling, it can get a bit lonely when it's just us. So just having that team environment, it's awesome. And I mean, love Jesse, love him. But having all these girls is amazing, and I'm just so grateful for them.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, again, good luck this weekend. Congratulations on the past weekend performance. And we wish you all the best. Hopefully we get to see you in the summer. If you can book that ticket to Tokyo, let's get it. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Well, yes. I'm penciling that one in. Well, actually, no, I'm penning that one in. So that's congratulations on this past weekend, and good luck again this weekend coming up. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we return, we'll be joined by Nathan Dill, the Boxing Association president. We'll be right back.
Amy's Kitchen is an independent organic food producer, a family business who've been focusing on wholesome and flavorful foods for over 30 years. From their first pot pie right up to 1 million meals a day, and firmly believe in the importance of TLC throughout the entire journey to the final outcome. This month we're featuring Amy's organic soups, black bean, vegetable, minestrone, quinoa, kale, red lentil, low-fat split pea, and vegetable barley and more. All of them dairy, gluten, and lactose free. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back again. We are joined by the Bermuda Boxing Association Federation President, Mr. Nathan Dill. Good evening, Mr. Dill. How are you?
Good evening, Earl. Good evening, Jay. Good evening, Bermuda. I'm good, thank you.
All right. Well, this past weekend, the Americas had a virtual continental forum for boxing. How did that go off this particular weekend?
Well, I want to take you actually back because I don't know, there's an actor, I don't know if that's me, but the AIBA Forum actually has taken less precedence than the Boxing Task Force Forum, which is organized by the IOC, International Olympic Association, and that forum was on February 15th. So, because the next event for us is the qualifier, that's really the event that is taking priority, or that was the forum taking priority, because in the boxing task force forum on February 15th, they really outlined what we need to do to get to Tokyo, and of course this is the Olympic year, so that's our aim, that's our goal.
Yeah. Well, the event you're talking about, the qualifier, is due to take place in Argentina
Yeah.
in May. What have they put in place for you guys to ensure it's going to be safe in the environment you're in? Because as we know, South America right now is not a place anybody wants to just travel to.
So just before the meeting, I was reading over the notes from the boxing task force, and it's the standard protocols that you would expect as far as COVID testing and isolation and masks and whatnot. So, of course, they're saying that the first priority, of course, is the safety of the athletes. And since um, they've pushed back the dates. We were due to, or the qualifier was due to be scheduled on May the 6th. They've now pushed it back 10 days, and it's going to begin on, I'm sorry, 4 days, on May the 10th. So they've pushed it back. I'm unsure of the exact reason, but they did send us a survey, and they wanted to know if we would have difficulty traveling to Buenos Aires, Argentina. They would want to know, or they wanted to know if we would have to quarantine on arrival back to Bermuda. And basically, they wanted to get a survey to assess how difficult or how easy was travel amongst the countries in the region. On our end, we know that, we're free to travel, granted, you meet the protocols and you follow the guidelines. But the anxiety is definitely there. I just spoke to my national coach, I'm sorry, my technical director, Jamal Goofy Woolridge, a couple of minutes ago. And, there's all sorts of anxiety about will a vaccine be mandatory? So far, the IOC has said a vaccine will not be mandatory for at least the qualifier. But we don't know if things are going to change, and Tokyo, it's going to be any different protocols in place ahead of that.
Yeah. Jay?
Yeah, we was just talking about the protocols traveling, man. That's going to be something that starts to affect you mentally, even just traveling, and the amount of miles you got to travel through, and the where's the layovers to? Do you have to lay over somewhere? How do you manage to lay over? Man, whoever's doing all the booking, travel.
Yes. You know what? This is one trip that I said I'm actually glad I'm not going on. The athletes, of course, they're 100%. They are tunnel vision. This is their opportunity. This is their mark. We have Levince Toda and we have Adrian Roach, who are both going to be heading to the qualifier. We're excited to get them there. Adrian is overseas in Canada in school doing boxing as well, full time as part of his varsity program. He's getting prepared. He's getting ready. Levin's tutor is in the gym every day. He works with our national technical coach at least once a week. Then he's in his with his gym for the remainder of the week. And when I say week, I mean 6-7 days a week. So we're prepared, or we're doing the best that we can to be prepared. Of course, with the travel restrictions, things like the idea that we had a year ago of a training camp in Cuba, of course, that couldn't happen. And then when the COVID hit, we said, well, we're training camp in Canada. Guess what? That isn't happening.
Do that.
And it's not unique to us. You know, I follow a couple of other countries. I see Jamaica has some boxers in Canada, 1 or 2 boxers in Canada training. And, you know, it's eliminated. It's kind of put everybody on an equal footing, because it's not like we are the only country that's been affected by the inability to travel. This has been across the board. So we see a lot of similarities between what we are doing and what other gyms and other camps are doing, as far as trying to maintain a really high level of training, granted the limitations of travel brought on by COVID.
So can you give us 2 scenarios then? Let's give it the ideal scenario. What would be the ideal time to get down there ahead of the event? And also, what if, obviously, the amount of protocols and you have to get down there early? What would be the 2 scenarios as the time?
Yeah, so I'm glad we have a strong team, and I definitely want to give a shout out to my secretary, Shaquita Simmons. She's very, very athlete focused. She's always focused on the athletes, and she's always focused on the officials. So we did have a meeting weeks ago, and we discussed the ideal time to go. So the new dates are, like I said, May the 10th. So that would mean we will want to get there May the 7th, 3 days ahead. But for us, Jay, it's a 24-hour voyage to Argentina.
Right.
So that means we're leaving Bermuda about May the 3rd in order to get there for, you know, in the time frame that we're looking at, May the 3rd, May the 4th. So it's going to be interesting to see how that really affects, you know, the athlete performance. You know, we want to be on the ground running. We want to be acclimatized to the environment. We want to be familiar with the venue. You know our way around. There's basic things that just make you comfortable as far as performing to the standard you need to perform. And so the preparation, as far as the logistics, is definitely important and necessary, because, you know, we have a new team. We're already going into a new environment. The only person who's experienced this before is Jamal, the coach, who's been to qualifiers before and is able to at least guide the athletes as far as what to expect at the qualifier. But yeah, it's definitely not the ideal circumstances, even though we will arrive a couple of days early to get acclimatized and get you know, our foot on the ground.
Now, for the 2 in their different weight classes, what do they have to do, or how many available spots are for the Americas in their categories?
Thank you, Earl. You're always asking the tough questions and the pertinent questions. So there are only 53 spots across the board at this point. And due to the meeting of the boxing task force, that was to be the standard, and they're going to go by the boxing task force rankings, which means our former athletes, Andre and Tyler, they would already have rankings from previous events, from 2017 until now. But of course, they're not the athletes that's now representing Bermuda. Right. So our athletes, Levince and Adrian, are starting off from scratch with 0 rankings, which means it's only really one opportunity for them to make it through, and they will. but it's only one opportunity to make it through to the Olympics, and that's to place on that podium at this qualifier. They have to be on that podium at the qualifier so that they can get enough points so that the rankings would get them one of those 53 spots that are available.
And the other question, obviously, the biggest question, and I know while you're sitting there in meetings and so forth, someone has to ask the question, what happens if we cannot get the qualifier completed?
So yes, that's a difficult question, but we have to be realistic about it. Adrian has a long road ahead of him in the Olympic track.
Mhm.
He's 18. He's at the right age to be going to a qualifier. He's going to be successful. We're speaking that into existence. He has the weight of the country resting on his shoulder. We had a documentary that's going to be on the Olympic channel that was produced over the last couple of years that was really following Bermuda and following our journey. It's a lot of pressure, but if he is unsuccessful, the investment has already been made.
Mhm.
And that's the consolation prize that we have, in that when he goes back for round 2, he would already have rankings, he would already have experience. And within those 4 years, granted, if he doesn't make it, but we're speaking that into existence, he is going to make it. If he doesn't make it, I would say the next opportunity, there will be no stopping this young man. I'm really investing heavily in him and his long-term development plan. Now, LeVince is on a different track. LeVince has clearly said that I want to go professional. He has a 2-year plan for that. I can't speak to it personally, but he's voiced that, he's made that very public. So for him, it's just getting the amount of experience, the amount of amateur bouts under his belt, and he's now doing high-level amateur events. He's jumped from the kiddie pool right into the ocean with the sharks and all of the sea creatures of the deep, and that's going to be a good track for him. Considering that he does want to go to pro in the next couple of years, or in the next year or so. So it's not all lost for him. The experiences and the opportunities he has at this amateur level, it's really going to benefit him.
Mm. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more with Nathan Dill, the Bermuda Boxing Federation president. We'll be right back.
This month, we're featuring a range of infant and baby care products from Hello Bello, a company started up by a husband and wife team who were inspired to meet the challenges arising from the often surprising, not to mention messy experiences that came with the territory known as parenting. The couple behind Hello Bello know that being a parent is uniquely demanding, and their mission is to bring you premium products at gentle prices. Try Hello Bello Alpha diapers in a range of sizes, Alpha Blossom baby lotion, baby powder, and much more. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Nathan, boxing has not been it's not unique to what's been going on in the COVID world for us here locally. Speaking with athletes, speaking with coaches, how have they been able to manage themselves throughout this last year and a bit of this hiatus that we've had to have through no fault of our own?
Yeah. It's really disappointing right now, and that's the only word for me to describe it. We've made the most of this lull. We've made the most of this period, but now we're really frustrated because we're at the point where it's like, okay, we want to resume, we want to return back to some sort of normalcy, and for us, normalcy is going overseas and competing and having local events. I know the boxing fans in Bermuda are like, what's happening? What's happening with boxing? We are following all of the guidelines set by the Ministry of Youth and Sport. And I think that the guidelines are they've taken into due consideration the unique characteristics of contact sports. So now we're at that track where, of course, they separated sports from contact sports. It wasn't. It's not unexpected. We expected this. We expected that, considering the close contact nature of boxing, we would be one of the last sports to return to full operation. But it's definitely frustrating for the GMs and the boxers if you speak to them, because they want to be on the stage, they want to perform, and they want to compete in front of the country. And for somebody again like Levince, who had a plan as far as, I'm going to get 6 fights in 2020 and another 7 fights in 2021. And I'm going to have 11 fights, and I'll be on parallel with my peers as far as the amount of fights underneath my belt. No fights in 2020, no fights in 2021. So that there lies in some of the frustration that I can speak about with the athletes and the coaches.
Good.
Oh man, this topic. I hate this topic, but oh man. So you're saying that? So I watch a lot of boxing weekly on television.
Yes.
No fans.
No fans.
Have we looked at, or the promoters here looked at what they're doing in other jurisdictions? What protocol they have to adhere to, and how can we make that happen here? Are we willing to go just off a pay-per-view? Which we've seen that a million times, and we've been successful in that manner. We've seen that the pay-per-view component does work for boxing here on the island with no fans. So it's just
it's a definitely a unique position that we're in, because our revenue, as far as, and I love to talk about the business of boxing, I love to talk about the business of the sport, but our revenue comes from ticket sales. Our revenue comes from people in the seats. We had no revenue for 2020, and for 2021 we anticipate again no revenue. Our pay-per-view has been successful in the past, but it's like icing on top of the cake. It's not something that you could really sustain or depend on, because our costs remain the same as far as flying athletes to Bermuda to compete, setting up the venue, setting up the ring, our broadcast costs, our promotion costs. Those costs remain the same, whether it's one person in the venue or 1,200, 1,500, which is what we aim for. So it would have to be a very ambitious promoter to attempt to do that on that level right now. My team, again, is phenomenal. Melissa Luby, who you see has her hands involved in everything, is our event manager and program manager. She does an amazing job. But we shelved all events for Bermuda Boxing for 2020, 2021. The next event on our schedule is for 2022, because it's not worth the risk for us in this environment to try to see if we can make something work. We understand the formula as far as the business of boxing and getting people out to events. And every time we try to tweak the formula, it may have adverse effects, meaning people might not come out or they might come out. But it's really not worth the risk right now.
So we're talking about the business side of it. And one of the biggest differences you're talking about those events happening what we see week to week is the sponsorship.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sponsorship that they're getting in these, well, what we're seeing from Showtime or whatever, CBS or whatever we're seeing the boxing on, Fox. Who are you guys aligning yourself with locally for sponsorship for just the Boxing Federation itself throughout the year to help to offset some of the costs? Because obviously, like I said, with no events happening, nobody coming through the turnstiles, do you have partnerships with some sponsors to help support the boxers?
Unfortunately, not right now, Jay. And I will be honest, if there is somebody out there, we haven't been aggressively putting it out. What we've learned in the past is that the sponsors like the big events. They like the events. The benevolence of, hey, we're trying to save the youth. We're trying to send a team to the Olympics. We're really trying to change the culture. They enjoy that, but really what the sponsors like is the big event, which is going to have 1,500 people in the audience, and the whole island knows about the event. The sponsors really take to that, and I understand because of the business side of it. The sponsors looking to get the name out, they're looking to promote their business, the product, or the company, and they want the most visibility for their buck. So our attempts to get sponsorships specifically for the national team now. Granted, I haven't tried that in maybe 2 years or such. But right now we're aligned with nobody. Our sponsorship comes from, we get the grant from the Ministry of Youth and Sport, and we also can apply for funds through the Olympic Association. And we found those two organizations very helpful, very accommodating in trying to meet our needs. But it would be lovely to have an ongoing partnership with a large company. But we found mixed success. We found success in the small mom and pop, the one person small company. We found success partnering with them, and then we found success, of course, with the events, with the larger companies who want to make sure that their product or service gets attached to this event, because all of the sponsors love the events, and it's a lot to love, because again, the whole island knows about it and the island talks about it. But we haven't aggressively sought sponsorship just for the national team for this year. And we really just, like, for instance, we've adjusted. We're only, instead of sending a team, we're just sending our one coach, because we have to consider our finances right now, having no revenue for the last 2 years. So instead of sending Mannix and a team manager and the whole contingent, we're just sending the athletes and the coach. We know that's essentially that's all we need. And once we can kind of look past the COVID, we can reassess establishing that corporate partnership once again.
Okay, well, any parting words, sir?
Again, Earl, I enjoy these conversations, and I'm very grateful to you, Jay, and the platform that you have for just keeping boxing in the air of the mainstream public and the sporting public. So thank you for the work that you do. And Bermuda, please look out for our athletes, LeVince Toda and Adrian Roach. I know LeVince has sponsors that are privately backing him. I know Adrian has sponsors that are also privately backing him, but we definitely encourage anybody who is interested to support the team as a whole to reach out to us and see what type of partnership we can arrange. I do want to give a shout out to Accurate Pest Control. Now, it's no secret that that's my father's company, but they are going to be sponsoring in some way, some form, our team. And we're looking forward to building more relationships with other people that are looking to support our team.
Well, I want to say job well done and good luck to both of those guys and the organization, because obviously without the organization, they don't exist, kind of thing, in the sport and going forward. So, COVID has changed so much over the last year and a bit. And hopefully very soon we can come out of this and get back, as you had said, to some normalcy, and we can get our young people or or just the boxers in general back in the ring, doing something they enjoy, and then giving some joy to the country by performing in front of everyone. So I want to say all the best.
Thank you.
We'll stay in touch, especially as we get closer to that May date for those two qualifiers in Argentina.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Good night.
Take care.
All right. We're going to take our next commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have our overseas report.
Welch's, producers of the world's best-known grape juice, have been based in Concord, Massachusetts since 1869. Distributed in Bermuda by John Barrett & Son, Welch's has become a household name. We're featuring Welch's 100% Concord grape and Niagara grape juices, distinctively delicious and heart-healthy, and ushering in bold new flavors. Welch's Super Berry Juice, combining the Concord grape with Aronia berries for tartness and mangosteen for sweetness, and Welch's White Grape Peach and flavored blend of white grape, pear, apple, and peach juices. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Good day, Earl Bazin. This is Vernon Springer from Vast Sports Media in St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda. In the sporting world and in the sports in the Caribbean, international cricket has returned to Antigua and Barbuda. Just landed is the Sri Lanka cricket team for their Caribbean tour, which will take place in Antigua and Barbuda, with 3 T20 matches to be played at the recently approved ICC Coolidge grounds. Then the action will move to the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium for 3 ODIs and 2 test matches. So it is exciting time. We also welcomed back home last week the Craig Brathwaite test team that won 2-0 over Bangladesh. So the talking point in the Caribbean, should Craig Brathwaite continue as West Indies test captain, or should Jason Holder come back in as the test captain? That is going to be a major discussion for the next couple of days, for the next couple of weeks. The good news for the West Indies team is that Chris Gayle will also be landing today and will return to the West Indies T20 team against Sri Lanka, also at the Coolidge ground, a ground in which he would have lit up so many times playing in the Stanford T20 tournament. But the stage is set now for the 4 semi-final teams, with the 5th and 6th place teams in the Leeward Islands Hurricane, the host team, and the Barbados Pride playing for the 5th and 6th place on Friday in a day game at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. Game 1 on Wednesday will see the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, who would have won this championship under the professional setup in 2015-2016, taking on the Jamaica Scorpions, who have never won under this professional setup. So that is going to be dubbed an exciting game. And then the second semi-final will be between the Windward Island Volcanoes, who won in 2018 against the Guyana Jaguars, who have never won under this system. So the stage is set, and I can tell you it is going to be fireworks, fireworks, fireworks in galore. In terms of football action around, you will recognize that a number of countries, including Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, and those guys will have to go elsewhere, along with Trinidad and Tobago, to be able, and Anguilla, to play their World Cup qualifying games away. So that's another major discussion, a major announcement that will be made all around. We could see also that the Jamaica Administrative Athletic Association, they have finally got approval for their Olympic athletes to start training in Jamaica. We also know that there have been some protocols where St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Association has just been given the approval for them to start training in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We also see that there's been some heated words in terms of the Jamaica government, the Jamaica Ministry of Sports, and the Jamaica Football Federation concerning a camp that they planned that didn't go down too well with the ministry. Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Hadid is under a little bit of pressure because folks felt that Trinidad having to leave to go to the Dominican Republic to play their qualifying games is sort of hard. And with Trinidad, who already would have hosted the CPL in 2020, most folks felt that more could have been done in terms of the presentation to the Ministry of Sports in Trinidad and Tobago, enabling Trinidad and Tobago to host that leg of matches. But we'll see in terms of what's going on. Guyana elections is also being planned this weekend. And then we also have a challenger. We have 2 challengers for the West Indies Cricket Board President, or the Cricket West Indies Board Presidency in Ricky Skerritt and Dr. Keith Shallow. We have Anat Sanasi from Guyana and Calvin Hope from Barbados who will be challenging. But I think over the next couple of days, we're yet to wait to see what is going to be happening in the Guyana elections, and things could be up in the air. So the stage is set. Who will win the 2021 CG Insurance Super 50 competition is something that is going to be beyond our control, but whoever is going to win right now as we speak, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force look the most clinical team, but it's do or die now in the semi-finals and then the finals. This is Vernon Springer from St. John's Antigua for Vast Sports Media for Island Stats in Bermuda.
Hi, Earl. It's so good to hear from you for yet another week. Well, what I can say is that sport in Barbados is still very much on pause. We are still in a lockdown phase here on the island, expected to end at the end of the month. Actually, this week, everyone is just waiting with bated breath as to what is the next move by our government officials in regard to if we will continue our curfew restrictions, if we're going to open back some businesses for functioning. So only essential businesses have been opened here on the island over the past few weeks. So we're just waiting to see what exactly will be the outcome of what the ministers would decide and our prime minister would decide within the coming days as to how we are going to proceed as we try to continue our fight against COVID-19. Well, many persons have been vaccinated now. There's a mass vaccination program going on across the island with the hope that it can help in aiding with the country getting back to some level of normalcy. But for now, what I can tell you is that sport in itself is basically on halt. One of the major developments that we would have had within the past week was that the annual Gold Cup event, which is usually held the first Saturday of March, is now postponed. There is no date that has been set to replace that event, which usually takes place, as I said, on the first Saturday. But nevertheless, what is happening is that there is no Gold Cup event. By now, it would have been the pomp and ceremony would have started because the Gold Cup would have made its way from England here to Barbados. None of that was done, of course, because of not only travel restrictions coming out of the UK, but within itself, because Barbados has come to some level of, I would say, as our Prime Minister say, pause. So unfortunately, nothing major to report about when it comes to sport. With regard to cricket, our Barbados Pride team definitely did not have the best of showing in the ongoing Super 50 regional competition. Possibly one of the poorest performances by the Barbados Pride side in a while within the competition. Last year, we were actually semi-finalist. This year we didn't even get to that stage. We were out by the preliminaries. We finished second last in the tables, fifth in the tables, having only won a single game. So that in itself is something that we're not definitely proud of. So our Bajan boys not having a good showing. But nevertheless, we're just looking forward to hopefully by the end of this month being able to have some level of where we go forward, not only as a country, but of course from our end, from a sporting perspective. So basically that's it from me here in Barbados. Again, I wish you all the best over there in Bermuda. Please be safe. I know you two are rolling out your vaccination program, and I do hope that we can fight against this COVID-19 pandemic and this disease and come out as winners sometime soon. So that's it for me from Barbados, and I look forward to hearing you again next week.
Sorry. Well, Jay, there you have it. We're not unique. When we hear others being locked down and not able to do stuff and all that, but you know, it's the unknown. I think it's the unknown of when we will be able to do something, and I think people are running. The patients are running thin from just that, the unknown.
Well, what happens when we started the show today, when there is information always coming in. So what happens is that with more information, new information, the goalposts get moved. And that's what creates the angst, that's what creates the frustration, because if you've been told this is what's going to happen for us to take the next step, and then once you reach that place, okay, well, no, this has to happen now before we take this next step. So these are the things that, you hear these organizations become very frustrated. I think we're all going to be waiting, especially on with anxiety, come next Tuesday's press conference, especially with the Bermuda Football Association looking to resume. And not even to resume, I mean, are they ready to resume for next weekend, if we're allowed? We heard on one of your former shows that some of the cricket clubs coach was saying he would like a nice 3-week running. We heard the president say we're nice to have a couple of practice games. I'm like,
already showed a time.
You don't know how much time you got.
Yeah.
So, but these are things that, so come Tuesday, I mean, our next show next week, hopefully we'll have some type of information going forward. But it's as they would say, trying times, not only here, but also in Barbados and all over. Just talking about the West Indies. We didn't talk about them last week after they had a great victory in that test team. But that test team had about, I believe, 8 members who didn't go on that trip. And they were successful with the so-called fringe players.
Standians.
Boy, how do you get back and how do you leave guys out? But they've had, and not just win, but how they won.
Right.
How they won. It's going to be interesting. It was good to hear that the world boss will be, representing for the 2020s. But also, Earl, my prayers and my prayers go up for Tiger Woods having that car accident, I believe, yesterday. We talked a few weeks ago saying how lucky we are to be living in a time where we're seeing some of the greatest of all time perform. We knew it was going to probably be a stretch for Tiger to even play the Masters this year and hopefully try to catch Jack Nicklaus. But it's looking very bleak. That's going to
I honestly believe that's now out the door.
That's out the door. And not just, we don't know too much information about his health, but man, I would hate for this to be the end of his career. Mind you, his last time we saw him, he actually played and played with his son. So that was obviously a great memory. Right. But also, Serena Williams going down to Osaka the other day in Australia, and she was very emotional afterwards. Now, mind you, it was after the match, so I don't take too much. It's after the match, but she's been such on a level for so many years, Earl. And man, she was going down to she could be debated to probably the best ever, but debated. I would say debated.
Yeah, definitely. On the local front, I do want to extend congratulations to Kaden Hopkins.
Yes.
Today won stage 3 in Dominican Republic. Yesterday he was tipped at the line. But this time around today, he was not going to be denied that victory, riding over 80 kilometers all on his own, taking that chance, taking that risk. There's still 4 days to go, but he's chomping at the times in which to catch up the rest of the field. I mean, a 9th, a 3rd, and a 1st. So far, it's been a remarkable performance, and I know the people here that are involved in cycling, his family, and the Bermuda Bicycle Association are just going to be excited as what can actually transpire from this young man as he goes on. He'll leave Dominican Republic and then go off to Europe with his team, who are probably even more excited to see him, how he's working on his own, how he will work with a team, getting team support over in Europe. I mean, it's going to go from strength to strength.
Well, I'll say the 2 pictures that you was able to capture, and sometimes a picture tells the story, but in these 2 pictures, the one from yesterday and one for today, do not tell the story at all, because like you said, yesterday he broke away and got pipped at the line at the last second, and then today you can see that the whole pack was behind him and his out in front. So great shots, but once again, congratulations to Kaden. And man, I guess will we see him May 20?
No.
Okay, thanks.
No.
I couldn't even get my hopes up for this.
No need to come back to do that race when you've got so many years to come back and do that race. Focus on what you need to focus
I
on.
like speed.
Well, let's put it like this. If he's riding away from that field there, right, he will ride away from our field here. But mind you, it's a sprint, so some guys will be able to hang in for a little bit. Yeah.
It's not 80, it ain't 80 kilometers, Arrow.
Well, no. But imagine how much stronger and faster he's getting with the field he's in now. Coming back, he'll be leaps and bounds ahead of guys here.
I want to see it, so I can see it from
all you're gonna do is this. That's how fast it's gonna go across you.
That's true. I know I got to see it coming down Cedar Avenue, or I'm at Cedar Avenue.
Don't blink. Don't blink.
He takes that corner. Hey, I want to see who's coming.
Well, Jay, we've come to the end of yet another Island Stat Sports Show. Thanks again. We'll look forward to who we will have on next week. Hopefully, we can, if we can, we're going to try and get people from the Ministry of Health to come on and give an update regarding the return to sport, because I think it's important that we're talking about sports and we get the right information to talk about sports.
Yes.
So we'll work on that to have them out and about here next week, Wednesday, to discuss the return to sports policy and the significance of the contact sports and non-contact sports.
Yeah, and also somebody from national security regarding fans.
Well, I think they'll be guarded by health ministry as well.
Okay.
They were the ones who
let me go back to that elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The socializing.
Well, yes. I think just like youth and sport are running the sports policy side, national security are running the social part.
Yes.
But they all are guided by, or both of those entities are guided by the health department. So, yeah, because we could ask the health department, what do they recommend for fans?
Oh, we know none. I can answer that for you. That's a quick conversation. Ain't no one of the fans for 2 years.
Well,
to make sure everybody's vaccinated. I can tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. Herd immunity. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, again, the question keeps being asked: what is the number of people that need to be tested in order for the sport to be able to resume? And that is yet to be answered. So until we get that answer, it's all going to be a standstill.
I don't know one.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Enjoy your night.
Take care.
Okay.